You're watching Hot Wok Academy. My name is Ming Jin Tong. I want to help you master your kitchen. Let's cook. Okay, in our series of setting up your kitchen, this is all about wet ingredients or liquid ingredients. So here we have in front of me everything I would recommend as the base starting for the liquid ingredients. You might say, what? That's so many. I mean, I think I have like 20 different items out here. So again, take your time, buy one at a time, and eventually you will want to have all of these ingredients available to you. And believe it or not, I actually have all of these right in the upper right-hand cabinet of my stove, and I'm always reaching for different ones. So before I begin, one thing I would want to say is we use these squirt bottles at home, and these really are fantastic. I keep them labeled. This one happens to be sesame oil, which we'll talk about. But for each of these ingredients, it's great to keep in a squirt bottle. It's easy to refill, easy to use, and you'll get used to kind of developing that muscle memory by watching the stream and knowing how much to use if you have a squirt bottle for each of these. Okay, so let's get going. We have our soy sauces. Now, I've got 4 different kinds here to talk about, but there is also one that I just couldn't find. Maybe we'll add a link to it a little bit later. But soy sauce is a deeply flavorful and salty condiment. I'm sure you've all tried it before. Why do we have so many different kinds? So this Kikkoman soy sauce is one that I would call kind of center of the road, most versatile. You can use it for dipping. You can use it for cooking. You may not want to use it for boiling because it's quite expensive if you're going to add it into a soup for boiling. And so we have this. This is a Pearl, let's see here, Pearl River Bridge soy sauce. And usually when you find a soy sauce in this large container for a relatively low price, I think this is like only $8. This soy sauce we use for boiling. If you're going to be making like a spiced egg or spiced pork with 5 spice, this is the kind of soy sauce that you want to buy, okay? And this here is Sanjay Tamari. This is a Japanese soy sauce, but brewed without wheat. This soy sauce is brewed with both wheat as well as soybean and salt over time. And this omits that wheat, so this is a gluten-free product. And really, it's got a terrific flavor. If you always want to be cooking gluten-free, feel free to use this tamari. And lastly, we have this soy sauce, and this is a dark mushroom soy. Now, 2 elements to it. The dark mushroom soy has that rich mushroom essence to it, but also it's got an extra dark flavor, or excuse me, extra dark color. So you can add it in a very small quantity to a dish to deepen the color of your dish. Okay, the next here that we have is 2 kinds of rice wine. We have mijiu, which is just rice wine, sometimes brewed with wheat, sometimes just rice, always some salt. And this is definitely not a drinking wine, but this is a great wine for what we call 去腥 in Chinese. Kind of get rid of that raw or fishy flavor in different proteins. Great for marinades, great to add to soups. Just an overall fantastic cooking wine. This particular one is called Shaoxing wine. This is kind of like a red, but it's brewed also with rice and wheat. And this one is even more savory than this one. Open it up, try a sip so you understand the flavor. This imparts a great flavor to many, many of our dishes. We're moving on now to the vinegars. Now, many people often mix these 2 up. Rice wine is a wine, salty cooking wine. Rice vinegar is a vinegar. Don't mix those 2. You will not have a good time, okay? So in our vinegar section, of course, we have just regular distilled white vinegar. Very useful for making liangban salads or any time that you're going to use vinegar for a salad. This is obviously a great choice. I know many of you are familiar with white vinegar already. Rice vinegar This particular variety is seasoned rice vinegar, which means it has some salt as well as some sugar. This is the vinegar you would want to use if you're making sushi rice. You make the rice, cool it down, you add salt, sugar, and seasoned rice vinegar. If you want rice vinegar without that extra sweetness, just buy the regular unsweetened rice vinegar. Terrific product. This one here, really indispensable. And I didn't know if I should put this in my cooking ingredients or in the condiments, because this is really used for both. But this here is black vinegar. You might think of it as balsamic, but it really has a tremendously different flavor profile. A wonderful dipping sauce. This black vinegar is really important in a lot of dishes in Asian cooking. And then finally here, not really a vinegar, but this is Japanese mirin. You can think of this mainly as a sweetener with a tangy taste profile. Again, keep this around. Many Japanese recipes will call for mirin. Okay, we're moving over to our fish sauces. Now I've got two kinds of fish sauce here, but I've also got my oyster sauce here, and I'll kind of explain why. So fish sauce is an amazing ingredient. If you want to add both depth as well as a richness of flavor, fish sauce will do that for you. Now, I've got two kinds, and I have a reason for that. This is the Three Crabs fish sauce. Great flavor. I think this one does extra well in the wok when it is cooked. When eaten raw, this particular fish sauce has such a strong essence that for those that don't like the fish sauce flavor, that might be a little bit too strong for them. This red boat fish sauce, however, when eaten raw, added to a salad, is really, really fantastic. So highly recommend that you get both. Try them out. It's so important to taste your ingredients so you know exactly what they taste like and to cook with them in raw salads or in a hot wok to understand how the ingredients change in flavor. Fish sauce is really an essential ingredient in fried rice. Here next we have oyster sauce. Now this oyster sauce, if you've never had it before, it has a very strong taste, also slightly sweet, and of course salty. This sauce can be eaten raw. For instance, you can steam vegetables and put the sauce right on your steamed vegetables, or you can add it. It's a popular ingredient for pad thai. If you're gonna be stewing meats, you can add oyster sauce to that as well. Now this is a sweeter sauce, and this is not necessarily sweet, but tamarind, and this is what this is a key ingredient, say in pad thai and other Thai cooking. Now this is tamarind pulp, which has been extracted. The fibers have been extracted out and the seeds have been extracted out, and it is mainly a liquid ingredient. But keep this in hand. If you want something tangy, a little bit fruity, this is a great way to add it. And finally, moving on to our oils here. Of course, this is just vegetable oil that's really good for high temp cooking. The smoke point is over 400 degrees. This is a great oil to cook with. Lastly, we have our sesame oil. Sesame oil is very fragrant. Now, sesame oil, there's a couple things to know about it. Number one, if you add too much, beware, it is a diuretic, so be careful how much you add. Secondly, sesame oil is a very fragrant oil, one that you can add to salads and to soup, and it immediately imparts a great flavor. If, however, you cook with sesame oil, be aware the flavor of sesame oil will change when under heated conditions. How does it change? It tastes a little bit more pungent, a little less aromatic, but the only way to really know is to try it. Test it out for yourself. Highly recommend this Kadoya brand from Japan. Very fragrant. If you have sesame oil and you smell it and it doesn't immediately smell incredibly fragrant, pass on that sesame oil. Sesame oil should be very, very fragrant. And that's what this is here. And the last liquid ingredient I want to introduce is this Szechuan peppercorn oil. This is a light, neutral oil that has been infused with Szechuan peppercorns, which if you haven't had it before, get some of this oil, try it. It has actually a very strange numbing effect. In other words, if you eat it, it will actually numb the taste buds in your mouth, and it will literally numb the nerves that are in your mouth. Why do we want that? A couple reasons. Szechuan people love to eat very spicy food, and this helps them to eat more of it by numbing the sensation on the tongue. But also the flavor of this oil is just fantastic. So again, you don't need to go out and buy all of these at once. Now, none of these are super expensive, so buy the ones you need for the recipes that you're making. It's so important. Try them raw. Always try all of your ingredients so that you can understand how does it taste right out of the bottle. Experiment with it. Keep these on hand. Let your collection and your understanding grow as you continue to cook. Thanks for joining us.